It's the ProfitDig Radio Show.
Hey guys, welcome to the ProfitDig Radio Show. I'm Chris Work. I'm here with Jeff Spencer.
How's it going, Chris?
Going well. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Excellent. Guys, we appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. We're starting to produce more and more content, and leave us some comments. Let us know if there's something, specific topic, questions you'd like to talk about. We would love that. Feel free to, again, drop in the comments and let us know, and we'll put something together for you. Jeff, hot topic. Everybody's getting back to work, thank goodness, which construction's been back to work. Yeah. But now it seems like everybody is getting back to work. At least I hope so, you know. Yeah. That unemployment, it gets easy sometimes.
It does.
You're bidding like crazy.
Yeah.
Your competitors, your subcontractors, everybody's busy.
Everybody's bidding. A lot of work out to bid right now in our area.
Yeah.
And it's probably more work to bid right now than I've seen in the last 3 years.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So for obviously users of our application, ProfitDig, and folks who just check us out on YouTube, what are some tips do you have when bidding on a project in this environment today?
Well, you know, if you're in a busy market like we are, you can kind of pick and choose, you know, between your projects, what best fits your scope of work, areas you like to work in, and also, you know, monetary value. You know, you can look at jobs and you can kind of, when you're in a competitive market, you can put a little more money in your projects. You know, don't be scared, because we're bidding so many right now at such a fast pace. You know, so what if we bid 100 projects, you know, in a month and a half, 2 months time, and you pick up 1 or 2 jobs out of those? You know that you got good potential profit margin ahead of you.
Well, that's fantastic, and you don't want to win them all.
No, you don't want to win them all. No, and like I said, you know, before, you know, 10, 12%, you know, somewhere in that area is what you want to win in your bid proposals. You know, if you're bidding, you know, 20 jobs a week, or 20 jobs a month, whatever it may be, then, you know, you want to pick up, you know, 1 or 2 jobs out of those 20.
Right. And so are you afforded a little bit of luxury right now, since the market is so hot that you can, like you said, you can sort of pick or choose?
Yeah, you can pick or choose. You know, you can put a little more money in there, you know, especially when you got a good backlog, you know, you got work ahead. You know, don't be afraid to up your prices. You know, it's don't outbid your workforce. You know, but, you know, and what I mean by that is, like, if you've got X amount of crews available, you know, don't get to the point to where your crews are struggling to man the jobs.
Right.
Put the money in your projects, you know, to where you're not going to get so many of them.
Yeah, but it's probably hard to build a crew now.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, they're not sitting around with nothing to do.
No, and especially when the government's paying you more to be unemployed is to be employed. So, you know, don't be afraid if you got a good backlog and plenty of work on books. Don't be afraid to throw some extra money in there, because there's a good chance, you know, you're still going to end up with a decent percentage of what you're bidding. Right.
That's fantastic. Well, what about, you say put more money into it. Are we talking into labor, material, equipment, or a little bit of everything? Just sort of depends.
I would up my pricing a little bit, my percentage on my materials. You know, like I charge X amount of dollars over the cost of my materials. Yeah. So your profit margin normally runs at 15%, but, you know, up at 20%.
Sure. Just sweep it. You're saying And
if you do like a 5%, you know, miscellaneous or contingency money in your projects, you know, don't be afraid to up that to 7, 8, 10%, you know. Yeah. Get a job that's inflated, and then don't be afraid to negotiate. You know, if someone calls you like, hey, I really want you to do this project, but you're a little bit higher than my competitor, you know, have a little bit of negotiating room.
Yeah, have a little flexibility.
Go ahead, and when you present that bid, go ahead and have a magic number written down there. Yeah. So if you have a contractor that calls you back and says, hey, you know, I want you to do this project, but I need a little more money back. Have a bottom dollar that you feel comfortable with, or you can still make above and beyond what you normally make.
Yeah. Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
And you know, don't be afraid to go into negotiations in today's market, because if you do quality work, they're going to want you. Right. Especially if you can get in and get out with your crew sizes. If you can man the job on time, get in, do them a good job, and get out in a timely fashion,
Yeah.
you're making them money, and you're making yourself money.
Yeah.
So, they wouldn't be calling you if they really didn't want you to do the project.
Right. Right. Is there a secret sauce to that in terms of, I'm a contractor and I'm saying, okay, the market's booming. I'm probably cutting my throat a little. It's time to put a little more money in these jobs. We're busy. Is there any secret sauce to where I put that money in the job? I mean, does that vary by market, by vendor of material? I mean, if I'm a guy who buys a new Komatsu on the West Coast or on the East Coast, am I paying? Is there a big difference in price based on my location, and does that impact how much I'm charging for that equipment?
It could be. It's going to be based on the market in your area.
Sure.
So if you're got a booming market like we do right here now in Middle Tennessee, then all prices go up. So whether it be materials, whether it be equipment, whatever it may be, supply and demand plays a big role in that.
Yeah.
And especially if you're renting your equipment. Rental rates go up because they've only got X number of units that they can rent out,
Yeah, supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
So, you got to be, take that into effect that, hey, when this job comes about, I may have to pay a higher rental rate because the market's booming right now.
Yeah.
If I can get the machine. If you can't get the machine, you're going to, hunker down and make a purchase.
Right.
Or, we talked about before, RPOs, rental purchase orders.
Right.
I'm a firm believer. If you've got a project that's going to last 6 months or longer, and you're going to have to rent equipment, go ahead and set up an RPO. No harm, no foul.
You can walk away, right? Yeah.
6 months down the road, if you don't have anywhere to move that piece of equipment, you can get out of the contract with no penalties.
Okay.
That machine, you haven't financed it for 5 years or anything else, that machine can go back.
Mm-hmm.
They can rent it out to someone else. But if you need that machine on another job, you've got an RPO for just say 9 months. Well, most equipment dealers right now are offering like 90 to 100% of whatever you pay in rental rate to go towards the purchase of that machine.
Right.
And so why not take advantage of it?
Sure.
I finished up this project. I'm going to the next project. I'm going to keep renting this machine. 9 months down the road, I've got $35,000, $40,000 into this, just say $250,000 piece of machinery. Well, now I can purchase it, at roughly $180,000, $190,000.
Yeah.
Because 100% of what I paid in is going towards the purchase.
Right.
Take advantage of it. That machine, how it's been treated because you've owned it from the time it was new.
That's right. And they're maintaining it during this period, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Can't beat that.
take advantage of that. End up with a piece of machinery that's going to raise the value of your company because you now own this machine.
Right.
And even as an RPO, at that point, it's considered as a machine that you're owning because you are renting it to purchase until you turn it in. So, you've got, taxation that you can levy on, at the end of the year.
Right.
So take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's good advice. And I guess I'm paying insurance on this with an RPO, right?
Yes, and that's a good point.
Yeah.
Always, when you rent a piece of equipment, whether it's a straight out rental or RPO, always use your own insurance company because when you go through the rental companies,
Oh gosh,
they're inflated rates.
I bet.
Major inflated rates. I mean, you're going to be paying probably extra $300 to $500 a month on average for their insurance, where pennies on a dollar you could have it on yours.
Yeah. And I guess it works like a car, right? I mean, is it just based on the value of the equipment?
Yeah, it's based on so many hours. It's based on the value of the equipment, how many hours you run it.
Okay.
And the way they're set up, there's most rental just straight out rentals based on weekly, bi-monthly, and monthly. Well, anytime you hit that 3-week mark, it automatically rolls to the monthly rate.
Okay.
So if you only need a machine for 3 weeks, you're going to pay a monthly rate.
Okay.
So try to find somewhere to use that machine for the extra 4 weeks or the extra week to make a full 4 weeks rental rate.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at decent sized projects going to last 3, 4, 5 months and longer, look at RPOs. That's the way to go.
The way to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
That
planning
way,
for the future.
you're not tying up your bank. You still got your money to operate on. And it's just like a rental piece of equipment. You're paying normal rental rates based per month, but all that's going towards your purchase. You're actually buying a brand new machine that's 20% off.
Right. Yeah.
Why not go ahead and make that purchase at the end of 9 months?
It makes total sense. Well, that's good advice. Changing directions, sort of. You've talked about at times when material prices are down, and if you have places to store them,
Yes.
you'll go in, and while you have a really good price on it, you'll go ahead and buy it up for future jobs and store it somewhere. Is there any, if material prices are climbing, do you ever do any purchases there in anticipation that the prices are going to continue going up?
Well, right now
Sort of stop that,
is a good time to ask that question, because based off the storms and stuff they've had and what I've been hearing in Texas and Houston, the resin plants have been shut down and we're having trouble getting PVC pipe. It's also projected into ductile iron pipe. So if you're in a pipe business, right now is a time to look at, and make decisions. Our suppliers are telling us, that we're anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks out if we order materials on getting them, because there's such a supply and demand crisis.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough pipe to go around. And I've talked to some of my material suppliers in the last few weeks saying that they're like, you're Joe Blow. You don't deal with this pipe company A very often.
Mm-hmm.
You call them up and say, hey, I need to get X amount number of pipe. They won't even deal with you if you're not a regular customer.
Really?
They're trying to save our product for their regular customers.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And when the market's up, which pipe's up right now, I would hate to say stockpile on it, but it's been on a steady incline for the last couple months.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to turn around, but I don't know when that's going to be.
Right.
And
so if you got jobs on the books that are ready to start, it makes sense.
Yeah, go ahead and buy it up and supply it. The only catch is when you got PVC pipe, it's got a birth date on it when they manufacture it. Sunlight fades out PVC pipe, also makes it brittle. So you need to have a shedded area or tarp it to store it.
All right.
And, tarps, grand scheme of thing, you go out and spend $200 or $300 in tarps to tarp your stockpile, it's going to be worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
But the thing is, put your orders in now, get your pipe. Majority of our pipe is 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch.
Okay.
So right now, I wouldn't be, it would be in our wheelhouse to go ahead and order a couple thousand feet of each one and have them on hand.
Just to have it.
Yeah, because some of these projects that we're bidding right now are fast-paced projects. So if I tell them there's a 6 to 8 week leeway on pipe delivery, there's good possibility, it's going to be some repercussion on the tail end of that.
Yeah. Except for the contractor has to be sitting on a little extra pipe.
Right, exactly,
yeah. Therefore, he can put even more into that job because this damn job has to get done.
Right, exactly.
And he has material, so. And
I even got a call today saying that, now there's going to be, from one supplier now, not all suppliers, but one supplier called me today like, hey, if you're going to need MJ fittings, you need to go ahead and start stockpiling them because there's going to be shortage here in the near future.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get.
Gosh. And that can be scary.
Yeah.
I mean, underground is quite important.
Yeah.
You can't build
without infrastructure.
Yeah. So that can halt everything.
You can build the nicest building in the world, but if you don't have water or sanitary sewer to support it, then you can occupy it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anybody would want to be in there anyway.
No.
You can't use the restroom. So that's interesting.
Right back in the 1920s.
Right. All right. So we've talked about putting money in our jobs. Anything? I guess it doesn't have to be based on today's, financial climate or environment. Is any other tips in the bid process you'd like to share on the other side of the money?
Well, you can get into a lot of different aspects, from start to finish.
Sure.
But when you got plenty of work, you can pick and choose the jobs you're interested in, the ones that's going to make you the most money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got someone, unless it's a regular client that calls you up and say, I need a price on this in 4 days or 5 days, if you're booked up, don't give in to someone you don't normally bid to.
Sure.
If it's a regular customer, try to work them in and get them a good price. But there's a lot of legwork. When you look at a project, you need to do your legwork. You need to go out and look at the actual site,
Sure.
whether it started or not, and figure out, what you got to do to get that price together. Figure out, what the situation is going to be to mobilize. Is it in town? Is it out of town? In a rural area? How many mobilizations you got to make? A lot of key points you got to, before you ever even start the bid process. Because if you don't figure in mobilization and what it's going to cost you to mobilize 1 time, 2 times, or even up to 10 times on a single project, because if you're in a downtown area, you got to pull in, do a certain amount of work, pull out. They get so far along, you got to pull back in and do something else, pull out. So, you can mobilize 8 or 10 times pretty easy on one project, depending on the size of it. So if you don't figure that in, sometimes it can be like $3,000, $4,000 per mobilization, depending on how many pieces of equipment you got.
Really?
Yeah.
So, gosh, yeah. And if it's a smaller project, that could make or break a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and even if you have your own lowboy and access, to move your own equipment, that still costs you something.
Absolutely.
So, you got to figure in, just like if you was going to hire somebody to move you in, you need to be charging those same rates.
Yeah.
Because you want to make money off of it too.
That's right. You're paying the driver, the fuel, taking care of everything.
Yeah. And then, the whole bidding process goes into, again, location,
Right.
multiple trades. What's production going to be? You got to figure that out.
Right.
You got to figure out, what crews you have available. This crew is going to get the most production. This crew is going to get the least production. And when I'm bidding a project, I'm going to take a medium of the 2 crews, my worst crew, my best crew. That way, no matter what crew I send out there, I'm going to be covered.
Yeah.
In that process. Hopefully, going to be covered.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, that's the
There's
thing.
a lot of unforeseens, and especially when you're working in a downtown area, you've got to be prepared for the unforeseens.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
if you're a new guy and you make a mistake there, that's okay. As long as you recognize that you made that big mistake and correct it on your next one. Nobody's perfect. It's a learning curve, sure.
When you're a new guy, depending on the consequences of that mistake,
it could be
may
costly.
determine if you get to bid another job or not.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So, it's really very important to do your legwork up front and don't just throw numbers at a job based off of what somebody else says it's worth.
Right.
You crunch the numbers, you own the business, make sure that you are comfortable with the numbers you're turning in.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, you're the one flipping the bill, you're the one on the line. If you can't make that project happen and it costs you more money than what you got in it, then there's a pretty good chance you're not going to survive for the next job.
Right. Personal question. You ever heard through the grapevine what some other contractor might be bidding on a project you're bidding on? I mean, I doubt that's something that
You talking
would
about
happen
competitors?
with any type of frequency, but
And a lot of public bids, like whenever
okay, sure, a public bid.
like public bids, it's open to the public. So when you pick up a bid package or purchase a bid package, then they give you a list of GCs that are bidding on that project against you.
Okay.
And so there again, it's a competitive market. So you kind of know if you bid against these people on a regular basis, you kind of know where they're at.
Right.
Because you get a bid sheet, a bid tabulation sheet. It shows where they're at per bid item.
Yeah.
And so that gives you an idea. If I'm bidding against this guy, hey, I know what he's done in the past. But there again, there's always there's a game to all of it.
Sure. Because there wouldn't be any advantage to them bidding down some of these numbers on jobs that are available to the public, is there? Because wouldn't they just be bringing the whole market down with them, or?
I heard a long time ago that.
Or are they manipulating it somehow?
Well, yeah, and there is a manipulation point to it, but I was told a long time ago, always look at jobs that are $1 million plus, because you're going to weed out all these smaller contractors that can't be bonded
I got you.
for that amount.
Yeah. Yep.
because they truly haven't done a background check on what it costs them to operate.
Right.
So they go in and undercut everybody else. They get these jobs and they can't get change orders and they go belly up and so on and so forth. But when you're looking at $1 million+ jobs, then you kind of weed them out. You know, you're looking at more competitive, more established type contractors that's going to see the bigger picture.
Yeah. Is there like a psychological component to that of seeing your competitor's number? Do you like that, dislike that? Does that make you start rethinking your strategy or how you would bid something in a negative fashion, I guess?
It does. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, if I'm going to public bid opening, you know, a lot of times I'll sit in my vehicle till the last minute and watch and see who shows up. And then, like, you know, have Joe Blow over here, you know, he's always low. And I look at my price, you know, I may go back and alter a few line items, you know, and lower my price a little bit, you know, and run a few calculations and make sure I can still make money off of it.
Right.
But, you know, it's, and to do that, you know, used to, old school, you could do pencil in versions. Well, nowadays, you know, when you have a public open, it has to be in pen.
Sure. So
I may have 3 or 4 bid packages there I've got copied off, and I may go through and rewrite them. Depending on how big the jobs are, but I may rewrite them, you know, based off who's showing up for the bid.
I got you. Okay.
And you don't always know that because a lot of them can be mailed in. So you may have 20 bidders and 3 show up, but here's 17 more that got mailed in.
Came in, yeah. So you don't know what's going on.
So you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. But I guess once they select their contractor, I mean, you're privy to everyone's bids and everything at that point. So,
yeah. That's the point of being a public bid owner.
I got you.
Anything that's funded by the government, which is taxpayer dollars, it has to be public knowledge.
Yeah.
And once the bid's over with, that's when they send out bid tabulations. And it shows you the unit prices of what the bidders are, what they bid on, and it can kind of help you to focus on and base on future bids based off those unit prices of the low bidder.
Gotcha. Well, Jeff, awesome info. We're going to wrap. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for checking out the ProfitDig radio show. We hope to see you again.
You bet.
Follow us, subscribe, leave us a comment, give us some topics. We'd love to discuss it with you. Thanks.